Soukeras, a retired Greek army, Hellenic army aviation helicopter pilot, a renowned accident investigator with hands-on experience in the aviation sector, both military as well as civil. Dimitrios has applied his unique expertise in systemic accident analysis in several high-profile cases, and he has served as an investigator and consultant in favor of persons and organizations. It's good to see you, Dimitri. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the introduction, Dr. Floris. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I believe that the most suitable phrase which describes the situation we're currently in is that we live unprecedented days. I do know that COVID-19 consumes huge parts of our brain activity in terms of information we share, but most importantly, it triggers our intense fear. Therefore, in the next few minutes, I will grab the opportunity and discuss with you the change I believe aviation safety needs make to become more effective and efficient at costs that are more convenient. In turbulent moments, as flown miles are decreasing heavily, the change we need is nothing less than a radical one, starting from our core beliefs when perceiving the world. Please let me explain myself with a short story. Three pilots of an airline are driving towards the airport early in the morning. For the sake of analogy, please suppose that each man represents a different kind of pilot. Ian, sitting in the front right seat of the car, is a positive thinker who believes that he is a great pilot and is full of self-esteem because his decision-making is so superior whenever he faces great challenges. He is also a self-admitted playboy who enjoys all the good things in life. Luca, the driver, is in the process of letting go of value judgments altogether. He enjoys things as they arrive in life, and he always does what seems sensible at every moment. Dimitris, the pilot in the back seat of the car, is a negative thinker who is constantly analyzing what is wrong with himself. Dimitris carries some extra kilos of weight, but he is always involved into a self-improvement program. The car pulls up at a stoplight, and crossing the street in front of the vehicle stands a beautiful young lady who catches the attention of all three pilots. Her beauty is particularly apparent because she's wearing no clothes. Ian, the handsome, becomes engrossed in thoughts of how nice it will be with this woman under other circumstances. His mind races through past memories and future fantasies of sensual pleasures. As he reminds himself what a great lover he is, he breathes heavily, causing fog to form on the windscreen and slightly dimming the view of the others. Dimitris, the pilot in the back seat, is seeing an example of modern decadence. He's not sure that he should be looking closely at the lady. First miniskirts, he thinks, then topless dancers, and now they are out in the streets in broad daylight. Something must be done to stop all this. He thinks that he should begin by telling off the playboy in front. Luca, the driver, sees the same female that the others are observing, but is simply watching what stands before his eyes. Since his ego is uninvolved, he sees neither good nor bad, and as a result, a detail comes to his attention which was not noticed by either of his companions. He realizes that the person is sleepwalking, and his response is immediate and instinctive. He stops the car, steps out, and puts his coat over the woman's shoulders. He gently wakes her up and explains that she must have been sleepwalking and offers to take her home. My friend Fabian reacted with a twinkle in his eye when I ended up the story saying, there he received the rewards of his action. I hope you also enjoyed it, and please let me say that my sole intentions were to bring forward the concept of non-judgmental awareness. It is crucial we are learn judgment, as only then we may discover, usually with quite a surprise, that we do not need the motivation of a reformer to change our bad habits. There is a more natural process of learning and performing waiting to be discovered. I bet that if I could ask you all today, the majority would have described the COVID pandemic as an unwelcome obstacle that impedes our progress toward our ultimate goals, a hurdle in our paths. Unfortunately, most of us do not accept failure in any form. The ideal path is always the shortest and the most direct, a straight line. We all share an expectation of a perfect journey in life with no room for failures. Unfortunately, life is not like that. In occasions, the situation might look like an irregular upward spiral, as aviation is facing today. How I suggest we handle the situation? Have you ever thought to use failure as an opportunity for receiving feedback? Please think. Are you always retaining your learning ability? Come on, think. Is it or is it not true that failure is inevitable? Our world is full of perfectionists and optimalists. The first are supporters of the shortest way. They get scared to death when they think of failure. They always focus on destination. They retain an all or nothing thinking. They are always defensive in criticism. They will always look for the faults. They are rigid and static. I'm sorry to say that aviation nowadays desperately needs the optimalists, professionals with no fear in failure, always open to suggestions, competent in complex and systemic thinking, believers of the notion that life sometimes progresses following an irregular spiral. Those needed are people who look for the benefit, even in failure, who enjoy the journey with its hurdles and finally reach their destination. Caring for forgivers, I would say, is easily adaptable and dynamic. So please seriously consider the option of start killing the perfectionist inside you and support instead the optimalist guy who is more useful in aviation. Thank you all.